So I just really quickly want to point this out because this is Krystal and Kyle Kulinsky, and we told you about them a long time ago. And I'm going to show you some things because I have to again go back and show receipts of people who like us who were ahead of the game and like told you guys about Krystal and Kyle. We told you. And this is no surprise to me and to I think a lot of people who probably watch this channel, but they're still pushing Joe Biden. And they don't even have any new arguments as to why they're pushing Joe Biden. They're pushing Joe Biden because Republicans, because Donald Trump. Okay. And this is what Kyle said before. And this is his tweet from before. If you can pull that up really quickly. So he went on this whole tweet thread, right? And he said, as a left winger, and this was in April 13th, 2020, and I was calling him out then because I didn't buy his whole shtick. As a left winger who will not vote for Biden, I want you to know I'm 100% okay with you blaming me if Trump wins the second term. I mean it, blame me. Then get to thinking real hard how you're going to get me to support your candidate the next time. Maybe even ask me, I'll tell you. Then he goes on a whole thread saying, how we shouldn't be defensive about this or blaming us for Trump. That's an admission that they need us to win. If they need us to win, when they need to make concessions, own it. Blah, blah, blah. And so he goes on and talks about foreign policy, a left-wing politician, blah, blah, blah. But then, okay, so even here I was calling him out because I thought this was just all an act because this was after the fact, right? This was like, okay, now it's popular to not support Biden. Eventually he caved. Eventually they all caved because they make their money off of the Democratic Party. They're all tied to the establishment. So he recently went on a rant against Cornel West, went on a rant against anybody voting third party. And so did Krystal. So I think did we watch the Krystal one the other day? I think we might have. But let's show Kyle's. There's two videos. So we can go ahead
and
show the first
one. Video of her beating up herself too. Like you saw the Kyle video where he's beating himself up. What he said back then, the stuff you show, what he said now. Kyle debated himself. He disagrees, and she just contradicted herself completely across the board. Like it was ridiculous. It's almost, and fam, I just want to know your opinion. Why do they feel this way now? Is it social status? Is it they're part of the big group? You tell me. Maybe finances, their job, who pays them. I don't know.
I don't think they were ever genuine. I think they were just milking the progressive popular positions, which is something that continues to happen this throughout independent media. It's not just progressives anymore. It's like people milking the Russia-Ukraine thing, people milking whatever they see being the popular thing. It's not about anymore being a part of something. It's about getting to milk whatever is the popular thing to believe in, whether it's on the opposing side or on the establishment side. And they saw it and they milked it, and that's what they did. So
let's play this.
Let's hear. Yeah.
Biden does not have a high approval rating. Biden has not been doing based shit much recently. There was a time where I think he went on a good streak and got some good legislation passed, but recently it's been a lot more lazy. You no longer have Ron Klain, who is certainly a more progressive chief of staff. Now you got this corporate lobbyist goon who's running the show. And it's clear, it shows in the action. So Biden's not doing a bang-up job here. But at the same time, the bar has now been lowered so much that he looks like an absolute hero compared to what's going on in the Republican Party. They're sort of leaning into a lot of these crazy ideas politically, these far-right ideas when it comes to abortion. And this, they left the lane wide open for Biden to just dribble on in and make the world's easiest layup. So Biden and his team, they cut this ad. Watch. Look, it's a good ad. The normies are going to drool over themselves over that ad. There's no doubt about it. Now, under Obama, they had a supermajority, and they could have and should have codified Roe versus Wade back then, but they didn't. And now here we are. I can say that because I'm not a hack. I can say that because I'm not a hack.
Say that?
I can say that
say it again.
I'm not a hack.
Yes, you are a hack.
Yeah, so he even goes on to say that Biden previously had based legislation. What has Joe Biden done for the American people? Can anybody? I'm sorry. How have your lives bettered from Joe Biden's administration? Anybody? Because I don't see how people's lives have bettered in any way, shape, or form. Not saying Trump bettered things either, but on top of the domestic disaster that already existed before Joe Biden, during Trump, that already existed before Trump during the Obama administration, that already existed before Obama during the Bush administration, that already existed, before during the Clinton administration. You see where I'm getting at here? Apart from all of that, we're on the brink of World War III, and the United States is giving billions to Ukraine and now is giving millions more in this one package to Taiwan in the first ever way where they're supposed to they're doing it in a way that's reserved normally for sovereign countries. And this is the first time in history that they're using this mechanism to give money to Taiwan, which is not a sovereign country. It is a part of China, and the United States recognizes that. And so now they're pushing the envelope with Taiwan. How has anybody's lives improved? And of course, the pandemic fallout and all of that. So, I mean,
well, I think that's one of the areas they'll try to say that Joe Biden was better and he ended the pandemic. They're trying to lean on that because they were so wrong on that issue themselves, right? And then they'll also say the pull out of Afghanistan, like he eventually got us out when it was actually Donald Trump, who I think did it way too late, negotiated that deal that eventually Joe Biden had to follow through on. So I really don't give Joe Biden credit for that.
And it was also a mess.
Yeah. But when I've asked, it was terrible. It was disgusting. And then you start talking about, okay, well, I remember before the election, I would ask some people, like, what area is Joe Biden better than Donald Trump on? And I think a lot of people would always say that, well, historically, the Democrats are always better on climate change than the Republicans. Well, we have the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, right? That was blown up. That is looked upon as one of the most climate catastrophes, methane gas leaking out in the history of ever, and not to mention that, with Ukraine starting the war, or with the whole war Ukraine situation, in which the West, pushed and eventually, made the Russian Federation have to make a move to go in there and do what they did. That is not helping our climate whatsoever. So you can't even say that he did that. And even his number one thing, the one thing that everybody said, well, at least the Democrats will get done. Fam, I'm a newspaper guy. I know you know that, but it says student loan freezes are ending, leaving borrowers confused. And don't sit there and say that's the Republicans who blocked it. Joe Biden did not do everything he can do to get that done. He could have gotten that done. He could have gone to McCarthy and made a deal when they were negotiating the debt ceiling to make sure that and it wasn't like it's anything crazy, like they were wiping out student debt. They were just giving people relief of $10,000 per person, right? They couldn't even do that. So there's nothing they've done. So when he sits out there and he said he has been dark Brandon before, he's had some base policies, I wish you would tell me what they are, because I think you're being full of shit. Things have gotten worse under Joe Biden. And let's not also avoid the fact that the donor class, the corporations, big pharma, big tech, military industrial complex, they all give more money to Joe Biden than they do than Donald Trump. So by definition, Joe Biden is more of a fascist. You can try to change it any way you want. Dr. Cornel West is still using that language of the neo-fascist versus of Donald Trump versus the neoliberalism, milquetoast neoliberalism of Joe Biden. He's providing cover because he was also one of those guys like Kyle Kulinsky that was like, we're going to vote for Biden and push him to the left. It didn't work. You failed. You made a wrong decision. Admit it right now. There's no way you can get out of this situation. And I told Dr. Cornel West, and I'll tell everybody that right now, I wouldn't vote for Donald Trump at all. But if I had a gun to the head and I had to choose between the two, I'm picking Donald Trump over Joe Biden every single day of the week, because we're further away from World War III with Donald Trump in office than we are with Joe Biden.
I mean, I don't know. He's very anti-China, but yeah, I mean, I can see why you would do that. I don't want to get into those positions because one of them is going to win either. And to me, it doesn't really matter because the deep state chooses what's going to happen. But I want to show this next video of Kyle, because this is where he gets worse, because now he starts bashing third parties and bashing Cornel West for running a campaign, saying he's going to take votes away from Biden. I mean, this is crazy. It's 2023, bro. It's 2023. We're almost like we're like almost 8 years into since 2016 definitely 8 years since 2015, since Bernie Sanders started emerging. So, since all of this began, and you're pushing the rhetoric that they pushed on us back then. You're going to give Trump the election in 2016. This is exactly the rhetoric they were pushing. If you vote for Bernie Sanders, and then if you vote for Jill Stein, again, these people have gone backwards. Normally, the trajectory is, you get disillusioned, you see how corrupt the system is, and you go outside the system and you go this way. People going back into the Democratic Party. For me, I just don't get it. Whether it's Kennedy, whether it's Joe Biden, I don't care who it's for. Literally, we're going backwards here. And especially when you're saying Joe Biden is the guy that you need to support more than anything. To me, this is just ludicrous. Joe Biden can't even have a conversation with somebody. Joe Biden is malfunctioning like Mitch McConnell. Like, how can you tell people that they need to vote for Joe Biden? This is absolute insanity. And further, how can you tell people that they can't go outside the Democratic Party when this is precisely where you should, right now, where we should be, is having a way to demand actual fair elections and have a third party chance. But that's not where we're at right now, because one, these people can't admit that our elections are rigged. Two, they are still trying to push the same strategy that didn't work literally almost a decade ago. Like, come on. So let's hear what he said.
Kyle Kulinsky, fam. Kyle Kulinsky once said during the whole COVID situation that, the pharmaceutical companies, they were wrong about so many things. They lied all the time, but they're right about this one. So take the shot and shut up. I mean, he just, one breath. It was almost like when Dr. Fauci said, you are completely lying and wrong, Senator Paul. They are not doing that testing at all. But if they were doing it, they would be doing it in North Carolina. I'm like, hello? Did anybody just catch that? This is the type of and they contradict themselves all the time. Can we go full screen on this too? It's cheese slice.
Now, on the Cornel West front, look, understand something. I would like to talk to him and ask him, what do you think you're doing here? Like, what do you think you're doing here? Do you actually think you can win? Because you can't, because we don't have ranked choice voting. We still have first past the post voting. So what's your highest goal that you think you could achieve? Is it the 5% for the Green Party? Is that what it is? So that you can get matching funds and make it more viable? But again, I hate to tell you, the Green Party and no third party will be viable unless and until we get ranked choice voting. Because until that point, there's always going to be this perception you're just a spoiler candidate. And by the way, if we get into a general election and it's Biden versus Trump, and Trump ends up winning because Cornel West got 5% of the vote or something, or 3% of the vote, and he gets blamed, that's going to set the movement back so much. People are going to look at leftists as spoiled brats who are just getting in the way. Now, that's totally separate from the question as to whether or not the spoiler effect actually is real. But there's going to be a perception that it's real, and everybody's going to blame the left for Donald Trump winning. Now, I don't want that to happen. I know you guys don't want that to happen. So I'd love to ask Cornel West, like, what exactly are you doing here? Now, if he was going to run, he should have run as a Democrat. Why do I say that? What's he polling at now? 1%? Well, Marianne Williamson is barely getting any media coverage, and she's still at 10% or more. So she's at 10 times what Cornel West is, simply because she decided to run as a Democrat. So I don't know what the strategy is. If you don't have ranked choice voting, if you don't get rid of first past the post voting, you're just doing a virtue signal fest. That's all it is. If you actually want to win, if you actually care about getting the country to change for the better, there's an intelligent way to do that, and not a way that self-disenfranchises you from being taken seriously. So I don't know what he's thinking. I would love to ask him, like, what exactly is the goal here? Is the goal to get to 5%? Does he understand that the only way the Green Party or the Libertarian Party or any of these other parties would be viable is if you get ranked choice voting first? Does he understand that? I don't know.
So first of all, I want to
ignorance on the goddamn election system, fam. It's just so fucking frustrating. Sorry.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't expect Kyle to know a thing about the election system. He's completely ignorant and moronic about all of that. He has no idea.
Throwing out ranked
but first
choice
of all,
voting, virtue signaling.
Yeah. But first of all, I just wanted to thank Dirtbag Left One for that video because that was hilarious. What perception? Who cares? Like, who are you trying to please here? Who are you talking about? They're gonna blame the left, and they always do. Like the Democratic Party always blamed, the what Republicans say, Biden is a socialist. No, Biden is a neoliberal. Like he is a total neoliberal. Justin Trudeau, a total neoliberal. But the Democratic Party and the right always blame, right? Like we're like the supposed left that used to exist. What movement is going to be? Where the hell is your movement? What movement? It's completely gone. There's no movement. There's no left, actual left in the United States. There's people like Kyle Kulinsky. There's people like the Squad. There's people like Krystal Ball. But there's no actual left. All the left are gone. They're all living in Latin America, in Russia. They're gone. Yeah. Like I'm one of them. Like I can't stand these people. You guys are so off-putting that we have to go across the world to really escape your stupidity, because we just can't. We're so fed up with it anymore. We're so tired of being compared and thrown in to being the same as you, because we literally actually aren't dumb enough to continue in the same moronic process of thinking we're going to solve this whole situation by continuing to vote, especially for a Democrat, for Joe Biden, who you can go back and you can see how he has been a tool of the Republicans that you hate so much. Literally, he has voted in line more so with people like Mitch McConnell than anything else. Nobody's life has gotten better under Biden. And what are you saving for? What are you trying to improve the country by continuing to do the same thing? It's so ridiculous. And the reason he's doing this, and the reason his wife is doing this, is because they make money off of it. Because now they don't have to pretend anymore. They don't have to pretend. They can just go on and spew this and still have all these Patreon members, because people are extremely propagandized in the United States, and they love this cult of hero worship of people like Kyle and Krystal. And by the way, I called out Krystal a long time ago. Okay, we have the receipts, and like these people were just never genuine. They were in it for the money, and this is what you're going to see for a long time throughout whatever the issue is. You're going to see it. Because again, when it comes to money, people's real colors will show when there is money to be made. And these people are part of this elite class. I mean, they all hang out, right? That's why he had to give Marianne Williamson that whole thing, right? Cornell is running a boutique campaign, but Marianne Williamson, whose wedding, who attended their wedding, Marianne Williamson, and their whole contingent of these wealthy podcasters who make money off of poor people, who think that they're gonna do something for them, and they won't. Their whole existence is to put videos like this and get reactions and do this. This is why this is the one video I'm going to be talking about this, because I wanted to point out the fact that we called them out like usual a long time ago, and we were on to them for a long time ago. And I want to show that next, but Pasta, go ahead.
No, let's jump right into it. We're running pretty late here.
Yeah.
Only thing that
I think
Cornell West,
later
Dr.
on,
West.
But did we show this video the other day?
No.
I can't remember. Okay, so let's just show this video quickly, and then we'll quickly wrap it up.
Who I love, admire, respect, whose politics I almost wholly and completely share. I think effectively the only thing that his campaign will accomplish is, number one, helping to reelect Donald Trump, and number two, hurting the left. Because ultimately, there's just a poll that came out that showed Biden and Trump basically tied in a head-to-head. You throw Cornell West in, and Trump is winning by like 5 points. And the margin is just exactly the amount that Dr. West takes away from Joe Biden. Now, listen, it's fully on Joe Biden that he needs to do more to appeal to potential Cornell West voters. But let's live in the land of reality of how this is going to work out. They're not going to do that. Dr. West will take some percentage, relatively small percentage, away from the Democratic total, and it makes it easier for Donald Trump to get elected. So if your priority is reelecting a Democrat, and if you believe, as I do, that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are not equivalent, that Joe Biden has been better in particular on economics, but also with things like the withdrawal from Afghanistan, then yeah, I think a third party effort makes it more likely that Donald Trump gets reelected. And the reason why I say I think it will ultimately also hurt the left wing and left principles, if that's what you care about, is we have the model of 2016. Look, the theory in 2016 with Jill Stein was if we withhold our votes from the Democrats, and that's going to force them to the table, we're going to have a voice in the room, they're going to have to come to our side. No, that's not what they did. Instead, they demonized anyone who would have even considered Jill Stein. They used it to demonize the left. They used it to undercut any sort of leftward push. And so while I would love to imagine that that theory of the case would work out, we've seen the reality, and that is not what happens. Now, the place where I profoundly disagree with Bernie Sanders is on his orientation towards the Democratic primary. And there's another section of this where he gets asked specifically about the Democratic primary. And he says, no, I think we need to unify behind Joe Biden because that will be what helps to defeat Donald Trump. Well, that's exactly the argument that was used against Bernie Sanders himself.
Yes.
Both in 2016 and again in 2020.
Fam, you want to take a stab at that?
I don't even
why
know
do
what
you
else to
think they're
say.
saying that you don't want to reelect Donald Trump? What are the answers you think they give you? You know, Bernie Sanders said it the other day. It's creeping authoritarianism. It's a guy who doesn't believe in democracy. They're still playing that same card. Like, remember, like, you know, when we had our friends from the left tell us with Donald Trump, it's actual fascism. I'm like, no, I think you should understand what the definition of fascism is before you come back and say that. Because like I just said before, big pharma, big tech, the military-industrial complex, way more funding with that donor class behind Joe Biden than Donald Trump. So it's really not about fascism.
Yeah.
So they're trying to switch to this, oh, it's authoritarianism. This guy doesn't believe in democracy. The same lies and bullshit they said before. And I
What
don't
is
know
democracy?
how it's gonna work. Yeah.
Giving money to Ukraine? Like giving billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, trying to start World War III. They have no reasons. They just have to say these catchphrases like then it's just going to give it to Trump. I can't believe we are repeating the same thing. Not that we repeated just 4 years ago, that we repeated over 8 years ago now. Like, I mean, this is ridiculous now where they're at. I mean, if anybody still continues to watch these people to get any sort of information, you're just completely duped and propagandized. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, these people have been lying, have been completely dragging along their viewers to pretend there's some sort of, outside alternative to corporate media. They're literally the same as corporate media, if not worse. And this is exactly what I mean with the squad. Like, I think they're worse because they lie and pretend that they're anti-establishment when they're not. And what exactly is she saying that is different than the way people treated Jill Stein, voting for Jill Stein? It's the same thing. It's worse now because we've had Donald Trump. So again, did anything much different happen than with Joe Biden? If anything, it's been worse. And you know what? Using this whole Donald Trump might win if Joe Biden, if Cornel West runs good, then if our elections were fair, if our elections are actually fair, let Donald Trump win. I hope he wins. And because what's that going to do? It's going to make people aware. It's going to make more these idiots actually be like, oh my gosh, we need to fight against fascism. They only do it when it's a Republican, but when it's a Democrat, they don't do crap. And so I hope Donald Trump wins. I really do. You know what? Because I think I want to see these people so upset and clutching their pearls that democracy is gone while they've been completely silent these last few years under the Joe Biden complete authoritarian, pro-war, neocon regime, because that's exactly what it's been.
Well, they're also forgetting that the third party out there is really the Libertarian Party, and it always wields more votes, and those votes are traditionally take away from the Republican, right? The second choice for most of those libertarians is a Republican. So they're just not even factoring that in as well. Like, that is, if you really want to talk about a third party being a spoiler, well, the Libertarian Party would be more of a spoiler for Donald Trump than Cornel West will be for, Joe Biden. Who knows? Maybe Cornel West could muster up and get a lot more support that way. We'll have to see. We'll figure it out. But I'm not happy about the campaign that Cornel West is running at this moment. Let's give him a shot. Let's see what's going on. But I definitely believe a third party is necessary right now to wield some power. It should have been done quite some time ago. However, I'm just not crazy about his campaign, but we'll see as things get started.
Yeah, we'll see. And so, I mean, guys, this was a long show. We could talk about this for a long time, but I did just want to show that last tweet where I was calling them out. I think there's a couple of tweets I put in there. Maybe there's two of them. One is I said, working people, stop listening and giving money to millionaire podcasters challenge. By the way, these podcasters who literally just tell you that you need to vote for Biden, especially, like, I'm not saying people can't make money, but I'm saying, like, these people are hacks 100%. And they're doing nothing for people. They don't give back. They're completely in an elitist class. They don't know what working people are going through. And I said this in 2020. I said, turns out most of the progressive heroes are progressive hacks. At least they're all exposing themselves. Note what's happening now, because I'll go back to this in 4 years to see if we've learned anything. From 4 years ago, we learned nothing. We're almost there, fam. Okay, I did it a little early. And she congratulated President-elect Joe Biden then. And that was actually one of the tamest things she did, because she was actually pushing for Biden before sort of doing like, well, we'll see, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I was onto these people for a while, right? And so, guys, I mean, I said, it seems like we learned nothing from the previous 4 years. And now 4 years later, almost, it seems like we learned nothing still. Guys, stop listening to these people. They have no idea what they're talking about, really. And Pasta, I did mention this tweet was deleted. And this was a tweet showing how much money Krystal Ball was worth. And I said, these people, they're not journalists. They're literally like liberals, and they're masking. They're taking people's money because they're masking as these revolutionaries, right? And this woman, if you go down, and this woman told me that I don't care about the people in the global South because I said something against Krystal Ball. But even this guy right underneath his tweet, he was defending Krystal Ball. He was, there she is. Yeah. So, because I said like the faux left media and the DSA squad, and they're still pushing Joe Biden, right? You're not going to push Biden left. Big Pharma is still in control. I said the vaccines are experimental, and because this is Krystal Ball, this is Benjamin Dixon, this is AOC, I was calling them out for their support of Joe Biden. And this woman, what she said, if you can scroll down, she said this. I took a picture. She said, if you scroll up a little bit, she's the one in the white. No, up. There you go. She said, this does not improve the lives of working people.
Go down a little bit. Go down.
Right.
The other way, Jamie.
No. Sorry, up means down for me.
Right there. Alex Lawson. The other way.
Here, I'll just pull it up and read it. Just right here. Right here.
Up.
I said this doesn't improve the lives of she said this does not improve. She's quoting me. This does not improve the lives of the working class. And she said, bitch, just say you don't care about people in the global South. Not apparently knowing, I am from the global South. And so I responded to her. And this is what I mean. Like they use these attacks, right? This is what we were talking about before. If you don't agree with this DSA bull crap, if you don't agree with AOC, if you don't agree with the Democratic, they say you don't care about people in the global South, you don't care about the immigrants coming in and blah blah blah. I'm from the global South, and this woman who is white, right? So, but she's progressive, she's anti, racist, anti-white supremacist, this what people say woke, type of person. She's saying me, and it's just so, again, this is what I said then. I said the progressive movement is racist and elitist AF when white people talk down at people of color who aren't from here as if they know what's better for us. You are worse than the GOP. And again, this is exactly what Pasta was saying, what Vivek was kind of pointing out. The moment you try to stray away and you disagree with them, they completely just turn and they show their true colors. So that's exactly what it is. And we're still in the same area where we have people like Bauman and what's her name, Ayanna Pressley, using this type of rhetoric to discount any sort of opposition without taking into account the fault in people like Joe Biden. Why would anybody vote for Joe Biden right now? It's absolutely ridiculous. Enough with this identity politics BS that they're trying to weaponize, using it against the people that they say they care about. So that's just the moral of the story. Don't listen to these people. They're completely lost it. They've lost it. I don't think this election is going to change anything for anybody. I'm sorry, but I think voting for Joe Biden is possibly the worst thing you could do.